safest city in the world, sunny Glasgow. And you know it's safe because it's Saturday night and I'm walking about with a very nice ThinkPad. And we'll be perfectly safe because that's how it is here. Anyway, I wanted to just check in quickly. I don't even know how long I'll be here. Probably about 10 minutes. But I thought I'd say a couple of words about last night's live stream. So, last night I did another little live stream. Now, I should explain what's going on with all of these walking things. I got rid of my car a few months ago, and I've been doing a whole lot of walking. So right now I'm walking over to meet my lady wonder wench for a sort of late evening dinner. And I'm just walking here, there and everywhere. And it occurred to me, why not just hit the stream button and have a little company on the way? I don't think that I'm going to keep this going very long. It's not something that, don't get me wrong, it's nice, but I'm not interested in doing anything that is like, you know, I'm not trying to be the next Charlie Veitch, let's just say. I'm just a guy walking down the road, you know, and that's about it. And I felt like last night's conversation was pretty good, actually. We were talking a little bit about a phrase that I stole from my highly mysterious, I don't like saying the word mentor. Sounds a little bit self-help, but let's call it that today. I was telling you about a phrase that I got from him, codenamed the Count of Monte Cristo. And the phrase that he said a few times is the velocity of money. And we were talking about what the velocity of money means. And talking about how this is an explanation, an economic explanation as to why the UK government and other governments of the West appear to be hell-bent on throwing open the doors and letting anyone come in from anywhere. So we spoke about a wee bit about that, and I was saying that I think that the pension system is going to be the first domino to fall. And I was making the point that when you watch those auditor types going around the street and they're focusing on, you know, look, the guy's got a new iPhone or he's got new shoes or whatever. Well, that's all deliberate because you don't have a new iPhone, I don't. And I don't care about the latest iPhone launch. I'm done. We've all been done, you know. So the only two demographics that really want that stuff are teenagers and people from poor countries, because they haven't been done yet like we have, you know. They haven't yet gone through that whole experience where they realise that it doesn't really make you happy, all of that new stuff. And in truth, it's not much different from the less expensive stuff. Anyway, I was talking about how the Apple share price depends upon people buying Apple products. I was talking about how in 2019 the Apple share price was just over $30. Today it's just over $230. An astonishing growth rate, particularly given the fact that Apple haven't really innovated anything apart from a watch that nobody wants. And I was making the point that by my estimation, Tim Cook, the head honcho of Apple, of course, has got the most difficult job in the world. His remit is to make the Apple share price keep on increasing ahead of inflation, actually, and to do so indefinitely. I think that's an impossible task. And I think that the Apple share price is going to crash, and I'm picking out Apple. I don't know when, but nevertheless, I think it's inevitable, and I think that none of this is real. And by the way, none of this is real. Pretty much everything I'm giving you here is second-hand. This is stuff that I picked up when I was speaking to my highly mysterious contact, who may or may not be watching. So that was where we were yesterday, and we were talking about that, and really talking about how none of this is real, none of this is honest. I don't want to go on a conspiracy train with everybody, but when you have companies like Apple clearly being propped up by the UK government and other governments, it's just not an honest economy, you know? So at some point, I think it's all going to come tumbling down, and when that happens, mark my words, the first domino to fall will be the pension system. And I think that I get the feeling we're not too far off this happening. Now, last night, look at that hair, it's perfect. Anyway, hello there, nice to see you, welcome Mr. Nice, LG, and Henry. I can read tonight for some reason. Anyway, I'm only going to be here about another 5 minutes or so, but I just wanted to say a couple of words on an unrelated thing. Last night's live stream, I made it private. I'll probably delete it, and it's a shame because I thought that the conversation was pretty good and some of the feedback was interesting, you know. But the whole thing came to an abrupt end because somebody who had been posting pretty intelligent comments had said, can you say purple burglar alarm, you know? And there was a YouTuber by the name of Lemmy who went to the same school as me, by the way. He was in the year above me. And he had posted a video saying people from Scotland cannot say this phrase, you know? Now, I think that's kind of funny and, you know, it's an interesting and amusing thing, right? And I'm sure we all had a little giggle. But when I looked at the chat, it was like, yeah, let's mention that again. Let's mention it again. Hey, here we go. And let's run it up the flagpole again. Yay! And I thought, man, how much mileage are we going to get out of this? And then I looked at the chat and I just saw that somebody had written the word haggis. Now, I don't know if he was saying, do you like haggis? I don't know if he was saying, isn't haggis an interesting thing? I don't know if he was saying, aren't you glad that we're not talking about haggis? I don't know what the person was saying, and I never will know, because I just quickly booted the person, banned them, and then I just stopped the live stream and said, see you all later, cheerio. So I banned myself, you know. Now, I think it's inevitable that I probably won't keep this going for too much longer. But I feel as if I owe a little explanation. Like, why all of the hostility, you know? From me, that is. Shouldn't I be able to take these light-hearted comments in the spirit that they're sent? Well, allow me to bungle together my best attempt at an explanation, and it's kind of a delicate topic. I happen to be a guy who was born in Scotland. Now, for what it's worth, my family on both sides came from Ireland. I'm currently planning on applying for an Irish passport. And I've never really felt like a Scottish guy, you know? Now, that doesn't mean that I'm ashamed to be Scottish. It doesn't mean that I'm proud to be Scottish. And it doesn't mean that in any way I'm out to attack anybody for their nationality. I would define myself as a web developer, you know, or something, I don't know. But I don't think of myself in those terms. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm grateful to be here. I think that Scotland has a lot going for it. I have a love-hate relationship with the place. In terms of inventions, like inventing stuff, we had James Watt with the steam engine and Dolly the cloned sheep. I could go on and on and on. Even the best keyboards were made in Greenock, just up the road. The only country that competes with Scotland in terms of inventions, pound for pound, is Israel. So Scotland has innovated and it has produced some amazing people. And if anyone out there feels proud to be Scotland, then congratulations. I'm not going to mess with that. However, for me personally, if somebody says, are you proud to be Scottish, let's say, it's a bit like I'm in a museum and I'm looking at a painting. And maybe it's a really nice painting and it looks fabulous. And I'm saying, oh, what a wonderful, wonderful painting. And I'm swooning with delight over this great oil painting in a museum. And then somebody says, are you proud of the painting? Well, it's a nice painting, but I'm not going to claim any credit for it, you know? I just happen to be here. Similarly, if it was a rotten painting and somebody said, so are you ashamed of the painting? I'd be like, well, that's just a ridiculous question, you know? And as I said on the live stream, I think that it would be nice if we just judged people by what they do and not the place where they happen to have been born into. Having said that, it is a delicate topic, and I know that because there's a lot of people raising the flag and all of that, and I actually support that. I think that British values matter. I think that things like the Enlightenment matters, the Magna Carta, and all of this stuff is currently in danger, just in case you haven't figured it out. And I'd mentioned how just yesterday on X, footage appeared of a staff worker. I'm going to say this and nobody will believe it. A staff worker in an Iceland, the food shop. I believe it was the Chapel Hill branch. And footage emerged of a staff member flogging a female customer with some kind of medieval weapon. It looked like a whip, but with two round bits on the end of it. You can go and check that out on X. Now, what was even more shocking than that footage, like a woman being flogged in Iceland, accused of stealing. But what was even more shocking is when I looked at half the comments, and half of the comments, people saying, oh, well, she was stealing, she deserved it, and stuff like that, you know? And I just think this is outrageous. And of course, perhaps even what's more shocking still, it came to light that the police were called and it turns out that she never stole anything. And by the way, that's irrelevant. I don't think it matters. I don't think that the penalty for stealing some things out of Iceland should be to be flogged by somebody who can barely speak a word of English, I might add. And so, all of our, I'm going to say the phrase Western values are under attack, and we cannot normalise this shit. We cannot allow this to be just a normal thing. I'm astonished that none of the other YouTubers are talking about this stuff, but there we are. And so where am I going with this? Well, I suppose I'm going back to the Scottish thing. It's nice to be here, and I'm grateful and all of that. I don't think it defines me. I'll make a deal, which is I'll try my best to judge you by what you do, and I'd appreciate if you do likewise with me. But at the same time, I do feel as if the phrase of the day, which was sent to me in a little video by the Count, the phrase of the day is, we are witnessing the controlled demolition of the West. It's actually an Andrew Tate quote. Who would have thought it? But that's how I see it, you know. Anyway, I apologise for abruptly ending the live stream last night. It's not a case of I was offended because somebody said something about being from Scotland or something. It's more a case of I just can't be bothered, you know. I cannot be bothered. From my own perspective, Scotland is nice, you know, but it's I don't know if there's such a word as unexotic, but it's the most unexotic place on the planet. Because for me, it's home, you know, it's just normal. And I just get bored if people are like, oh, ha, haggis, ha, ha, ha. Hey, does anybody remember haggis? Nobody wants to hear it, nobody cares. So I killed the live stream and probably banned one or two people on the way out. And if you're one of those banned people, look, it's not you, it's me. I just can't be bothered, you know. So there we have it. And I'm almost at my destination here. G-Man. I used to know a guy who went by the name G-Man. By the way, I had a moment. He says, should have given him the 1-2. I don't know what you're talking about. I had a funny moment during the live stream last night where I said, you know, I was talking to such and such, and he said to me, Dave, DC. And I stopped halfway through, and then I realised this is embarrassing. Nobody calls me DC. My name's David, right? It's David Connolly with an E. Nobody calls me DC, but it would be cool if they did. I think it just sounds a bit better. I'm trying my best to make that one stick, you know. Plus, I know a lot of Davids in my life. So, yeah, that was a bit embarrassing. Oh, gee, I can see my Lady Wonder Wench is up ahead. I've got 100 metres here. I'm going to say something super quickly before I end. I think I've got time. It's a video, it's a message. I am going to name him. I said I wouldn't, but I will because he's a friend and he'll be okay. But it's a little message regarding my good friend, Mame Meister. At least that's the name of his YouTube channel. He posted a video talking about how he was coming back from America and he got through or put through all sorts of bullshit. I'm not going to give you the whole soap opera, but it was all to do with his plane got cancelled and he booked another and he paid and that seat was taken by somebody else and it went on and on and on, and eventually he paid $1,000 and he just got messed about by that airline company so much. Now I'm running out of time because I've only got 50 metres to go. So I'll just stop. This is called buying time. I just wanted to say, and I say this respectfully, very respectfully, the reason why he got all of that bullshit is because he has the vibrational energy of a nice guy. And that's great, that's to his credit. But when he was turning up at those desks and I listened to the whole soap opera, and it was just like he got messed about by this person, messed about by the supervisor, messed about. Now he's down $1,000, right? Well, a couple of points really quickly. If he was dressed like me, I'm top to toe, guys. I am top to toe. Look, I've got shirts and always. You will not catch me out. See? In a different one from last night. I am top to toe. 7 days a week. And if he dressed like this, I guarantee he would not have gone through that bullshit. They would have taken one look at him and says, I don't know what this guy's vibe is, but let's not mess. Whatever we do, let's not mess. I was in Manchester on Tuesday, and forgive me if I have my little show off again, but I got the train down, and as the turnstiles are gone and everybody's faffing about with the thing, the guy opens a door and says, in you go, and I said, in you go. I never had to show anyone my ticket. The conductor's tickets walked past me. Why? It's because of how I dress. I know that sounds really stupid, but it's true. There's a great channel on YouTube called The Chaps Guide, who does a far better job talking about this kind of thing than me. But what I'll say is the short version is there's a sort of gentleman's movement happening, and I highly recommend it. Also, just before I go, last thing, I'll give her a wave. Okay, just before I go, when you're traveling, take one of these, right? Because if you lose your mobile phone, you're screwed. Take a little book, little tiny red book, put in a couple of emergency details and stuff in case you do lose your phone. But if you find yourself complaining, or in a situation where you've been messed about, the procedure is you take out your little book with a pen or a pencil, and you say, when they're saying, we can't give you, your seat's been booked by somebody else, you say, that's fine, can I have your name please? And then you say, can I have the name of your manager? And you write the name of the manager here, right, in the little book. And then in front of them, say they say the manager's name's Martin Brown. Say they say the manager's name's Martin Brown. You write Martin Brown. And then in front of them, you score it out. So you score out the name that you've written down, then you do a big cross beside it. Now this is going to mess with their heads. And then you say, I can assure you, I am not going to be talking to Martin Brown. Tell me the name of the person who's in charge of Martin Brown. That's who I'm going to be talking to. You do that and just wait until you see the reaction. I'm really good at this type of thing, actually. It's one of these weird skills I have in life. And we can talk more about it, but I'm out of time. Listen, pleasure and a privilege for being here. Thank you for passing by, and all of the comments. G-Man, LG, Mr. Nice, Henry, new name, ding, 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 ding. We have Wodge or something like that, and who knows, potatoes. Thank you very much. God bless you. I'll see you soon.